So good evening, everyone. On behalf of the board of the British Asian Trust, a warm welcome to this private discussion with our special guest, the Home Secretary. Priti, thank you for joining us. We all recognize the pressures on your time. The fact that you are taking time out is not only a testimony to you, but also the seriousness of the COVID emergency in India. At times, it's been difficult to watch some of the scenes of suffering which we have seen in the media. We have felt almost overwhelmed by the scale of the challenge in a subcontinent as vast and populous as India. We might even wonder if our support provides more than a drop in the ocean. Yet, we all feel a duty, even a compulsion to step up at this moment of humanitarian need. And whilst no single group or organization alone will solve every issue, it's evident that we are making a positive difference on the ground with the generous support of all the participants on today's call. And we will hear shortly more about that. In the meantime, recent developments here in the UK have demonstrated three things. Firstly, given the heightened transmissibility of the virus circulating in India, we now understand better one of the reasons the country was overwhelmed. Secondly, as well as the noble humanitarian instincts to help our friends and often family in their hour of need, there is also an enlightened self-interest in containing the spread of the pandemic in a country like India. And thirdly, as we have discovered here in the UK, there is now a race between the virus and vaccines. Against this backdrop, the purpose of our call this evening is to provide a situation update on what is happening on the ground in India, to explain how the British Asian Trust has mobilized rapidly with the generous support of all of you on this call, and to express our sincere thanks for all that you have been doing and continue to do. Please note that our session is being recorded. I would request that you keep your mics on mute unless speaking, and use the chat function to ask any questions. With that, I'm pleased to pass the baton on to Chief Executive of the British Asian Trust, Richard Hawkes.
Thank you very much indeed, Jitesh, and thank you, Home Secretary, for joining us this evening. It's a huge honour for me all the time to be the Chief Executive of the British Asian Trust, but even more so at a time like this, when my colleagues have really stepped up to the mark like never before to make a huge difference at a time of great need. We launched our appeal on the 26th of April, just a few days after the horrendous images were starting to emerge from India. To date, thanks to all of you and many others, we've actually banked more than £4 million, and we have a further £2 million pledged. So we're confident that this appeal is going to raise more than £6 million, which is absolutely incredible. There are a few principles for us that were really important when we started the appeal. First of all, we wanted to be really clear what the funds would be spent on. We didn't want to simply raise money and not be sure how it would be spent. So over those first few days, that weekend, we consulted widely with people in the government of India, the government of the UK, our advisors, partners, and other people on the ground to determine what our focus should be. Secondly, we had to ensure that every single penny would be well spent. We are acutely aware of stories about aid money not doing this, and especially in emergencies. And so for us, it was absolutely crucial that we identified the right partner organisation, and we looked at things like procurement and supply chains, so that rather than just patting ourselves on the back if we raised a lot of money, we were confident that it was all being well spent, and we'd be able to report back to all of our supporters, such as you, exactly that your money was making a difference and getting to the people that really needed it. And thirdly, we have to keep doing what is relevant and what is right. This is a fast evolving situation, and what is needed on the ground in the short, medium and long term is going to keep changing, and we have to keep being relevant to that. I'm really confident that we've achieved all three of these key things, mainly because we have a brilliant team overall and an absolutely fantastic team on the ground in India, led by Salim Khan, our India director, who I'll now hand over to.
Thank you, Richard. It is indeed an honor for me to be updating this esteemed group on the difference that we are being able to make on the ground in addressing this huge crisis that India is currently faced with. And all this has been possible only with their generous support. So I want to first start by saying thank you to you all. Your funding is enabling us in getting life-saving oxygen concentrators to the interior-most parts of India, which include distant villages and small towns, which otherwise do not have access to decent medical facilities and have been most severely impacted in the second wave of the COVID crisis. Our on-ground partners, SWAST, have a very robust technology platform that allows them to access and update real-time data on the COVID situation, which includes the positivity rates and the death rates from across states and small districts, which feeds into the allocation plan. So the equipments therefore get allocated and supplied to the most in need last mile districts. We've been receiving some extremely heartwarming messages from doctors and from across these villages and small towns, expressing how helpless they felt without having access to these life-saving equipment, and also messages from some beneficiaries and patients. And receiving those is actually making all these efforts extremely fulfilling and so worthwhile. We've also identified 2 charitable hospitals where we are installing oxygen generators, which will provide continuous supply of oxygens to hundreds of patients who are going to get treated there. And we've also started sending essential medical supplies and COVID kits to villages and the rural areas, which are in deep need of this support. I, however, would like to say that our work will not end with emergency support only. We will go on to help India's vaccine rollout to the last mile. We will support getting people back into jobs and ensure that the mental health of our children are safeguarded. The British Asian Trust is a partner to India at all times, but this crisis has enabled us to deeply serve the most in need, and all of this has been possible only with your generous support. So thank you for doing this with us. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, Richard and Salim. We now go to a cross-selection of donors and supporter groups who will explain how and why they have been supporting the appeal. If I could remind each of them to please be brief. Let's start with Kamran Ikram, Managing Director at Accenture. And just for context, Accenture is the largest international employer in India with 210,000 employees. So a huge stake in the country. Kamran.
Thank you very much. And interestingly, our numbers have further increased to nearly 220,000 now. And India is a critical part of our business. And it will continue to be a critical part of our business. And as you can imagine, with so many people in India, we have got thousands of people who are impacted, either directly or indirectly with extended families. And I've literally just come off a call where we had a number of our leadership together and just talking about some of the personal impacts that people have been feeling, the support we're giving. And for us, the British Asian Trust has been our preferred go-to partner in the UK. We've had a long relationship through the South Asian network, which I sponsor, but also through some of our other diversity networks, the Hindu Society, the Muslim Society. They will actively engage with British Asian Trust. And COVID relief has no boundaries. COVID doesn't stop at borders. So we have given $54 million to international COVID relief. That's basically $100 for each employee. And a bulk of that will go to India, given we have 220,000 people now in India. So for us, this is something that's really important to do, both as a social, responsible organization, but also because of the number of people that we have. And our employees in the UK have themselves raised £30,000 for the British Asian Trust, which Accenture will match and double to make it 60,000. So, we see obviously huge opportunity to help, and we're very pleased to be able to make a difference.
Thank you, Kamran. That's a really powerful message, and again, we really value the level and intensity of your engagement. Next, we have Dawn Pine, Group Supply Chain Director at Monsoon. Dawn.
Hi there. Okay, really, ever since the business started in 1973, India's been really close to our hearts. It's part of our heritage, part of our DNA, and we still produce our products there today with artisans. Talking to some of those partners, just heartbreaking to hear the situation firsthand from them. So as a business, we wanted to do something to help, and this is a new partnership for us with the British Asian Trust. We basically agreed that on Saturday, the 8th of May, we would donate 10% of all online sales from the UK to the Oxygen for India appeal, really because it is so close to us, and we want to support any way we can, really.
Thank you, Dawn. That's fantastic support. We now go to the British Indian Jewish Association, who have not only raised an incredible amount of money, but whose support speaks volumes for the solidarity being shown across different communities in the UK. So welcome to Dr. Peter Cheddar and Zaki Cooper.
Hi, I'll open with a few words to just say it's been a very grave situation for me in terms of my own family, and we've lost numerous people, so it's touched us deeply, all the way from people in their 80s to 35. I mean, it's affecting all parts of Indian society. And I've taken a lot of comfort leading the British Indian Jewish Association with speaking to my friends in the Jewish community, and they were looking for things, how can they help? They were consoling me and saying, how can we help? So we wanted to see, we're not a fundraising organization as such, but this is no ordinary situation. We have to, this is above and beyond everything that we faced before. It's a common enemy for all of us. So with my colleagues, and Zaki will tell you how we went about fundraising and why the Jewish community has been very supportive. I actually had Jewish friends reaching out to me and say, how can we help? And we felt aligning ourselves with the British Asian Trust was a really good thing to do. I'll hand over to Zaki, who will say a few words from his side of it.
Thanks, Peter, and good to be with everyone this evening. We are a charity that's 25 years old, and we're all about the friendship between the British Jewish and the British Indian communities. And of course, our two communities have suffered, particularly in the UK, with COVID over the last year and a bit. And when we saw that these terrible events were happening in India, we felt compelled to act and do something. So we came together as two communities and managed to raise a really good amount of money from over 250 donors. And what we did was really built on two principles from the Jewish perspective. One is the idea of tikkun olam, repairing the world. The idea is that we all have a role in making the world a slightly better place than at the end of our days from when we were born into it. And the second idea is around the sanctity of life. There's a saying in the Talmud, the great Jewish book, that he who saves a single life, it's as if he saved the entire world. So that was really the sort of motivation and the stimulus for us. And really, the friendship is based, it's not just about being there for each other in good times, it's about being there for each other in the difficult times. And we know, Home Secretary, that you were visiting the Jewish community last week, as the Jewish communities had its own particular problems over the last couple of weeks as well. So we were delighted to be involved. We only wish we could do more. We know that whatever we do is not enough, but we're going to keep both trying to mobilize our resources and raising awareness of these critical issues and the hardship that's going on in India.
Thank you both, Peter and Zaki, and when you talk about the shared values, that really does mean a lot. And actually, now we can almost move from something else that unites people, from faith to sport. Next, we have the amazing Bharat Army, the official Indian cricket supporters group. Those who are familiar with the British Asian Trust will know that cricket is one of the unifying themes across the diaspora communities, which features prominently in our activities. So over to you, Rakesh Patel, founder of Bharat Army.
Firstly, thank you everyone for inviting me to this session. For those of you that are not aware, so the Bharat Army is the official Indian cricket supporters group. It was born in the UK. It was founded by myself in 1999, so over 20 years ago. And apart from supporting the Indian cricket team wherever they play around the world, one of my core objectives since we started in 1999 was to give back to India somehow. What we've managed to do is build a global community. We've got over 1 million followers on socials. We've got over 10,000 registered members and a lot of hardcore Indian cricket fans who not only love cricket, but also love the country where they're from, where the heritage is from. And in many cases, a lot of our Indian cricket fans are sometimes disconnected with India, right? And they want a way to give back. And when sort of the British Asian Trust reached out to myself to see if we could support, it was a no-brainer for us. We have a lot of passionate people in this country who love India to bits, and they wanted a way to give back somehow and wanted to do that in an organised way. And it wasn't a surprise to me, how that sort of community that we've got really came together. We managed to raise just short of £30,000 in over a 2-week period. What was really interesting about the number of people that donated, it wasn't just Indian cricket fans that donated. That campaign spiraled globally, actually. We had people donating from all over the world, who friends had told friends and family members had told family members. And in the end, I think it sort of, it really showed how a global community come together for such a needy cause. So look, great to be part of this. I think what British Asian Trust have done has been absolutely fantastic. And it's great to see that the money raised by everybody is getting to the root cause where the need really is. So first of all, great work, everybody who's been part of this community to raise the money they have.
Thanks, Rakesh. And now delighted to go to someone who doesn't need any introduction amongst the diaspora, Tony Litt, Managing Director of Sunrise Radio.
Sorry about that, having a problem there unmuting. That's unusual for somebody in the radio background. Thank you, Lord Guardia, for the introduction. Well, it was a strange one. Several weeks ago when everything started going in the wrong direction in India, it just didn't seem right for me being the leader of, a radio station, which is, I've always said, talk for British Asians across the United Kingdom. And, when we started off in 1989, we were a small local radio station just covering West London. Then we became London-wide. Then 6 years ago, we became the first national Asian commercial radio station. So we are a commercial entity, but our heart and our core is community work, and we're always there to serve the community. And even though we're an entertainment station, I called Hitan. I said, Hitan, I've turned on the radio this morning and we're playing Bollywood songs and it's all happy, it's all jovial, and we're trying to keep British Asians across the UK, the spirits up. We've been through 15, 16 months of the pandemic, but this is going on in India, the home country for all our listeners, whether it's first generation, second generation, or third generation, culturally, we're all aligned. So I spoke to Hitan at the British Asian Trust because I wanted a conduit that I could work with where it was going to be trusted if we start fundraising immediately. And he said, Tony, how quickly can you turn it around? I said, look, I always work, and the Home Secretary knows this, I always work with Manish Tiwari at Hero Now 365, and he heads up the NDTV channel in the UK. I called Manish, and Manish straight away supported the initiative. And he said, Tony, we 100% have to support this. And we started the campaign. And I remember Hitan saying to me, can we run 10, 15 spots a day? I said, Hitan, we're going to roadblock it. And that's what we've done since then. We've roadblocked the airwaves, where we were running over 100 adverts a day, which is basically over 25, 30% of our entire inventory. And normally an ad is 30 seconds long, but we were running 1-minute ads plus live reads. We had to do the right thing. It just wasn't sitting right for me. And I think the community have responded, and the messages that we've had about the British Asian Trust and the work that's been done has been phenomenal. And I think it's the very least that we can do. And Richard, rest assured, and Hitan, we will continue to carry on supporting this initiative as long as it takes.
Tony, we really, really do value the partnership with Sunrise Radio, and thank you for your personal leadership in that. We have literally a minute or two to take a few rapid fire contributions from our other participants. And again, please do be brief. I think Anish Shah, Vice President of Morgan Stanley, had indicated that you might want to quickly say something.
Thank you, Lord Guy. I'll try to do this in a minute. So similar to what others have said, look, as Morgan Stanley, a global investment bank, we have a big number of people in India. So, you know, straight away, we worked really closely with them, making sure that their medical needs and their families were supported. We put $1 million in grant funding to our community partners straight away. That's in addition to quite a bit that we gave the previous year. And then we put a matching program in place for our employees with a match of $500,000, which we're about to hit now. And that's really where we came across the British Asian Trust, because we had synergies with the partners that you support on the ground. And, you know, that's where we pointed our UK and European employees to give. And they've given very generously. So, you know, thank you for responding quickly as well. You've been a great partner and couldn't have done this without you.
Thank you, Anish, and thank you to all your colleagues at Morgan Stanley. Then finally, Ken McMiken, CEO of Moto Hospitality.
Thank you, Lord Guardia. Home Secretary, thank you for your time this evening, and also Richard for the great work you and the Asian Trust have been doing. I just had a very quick couple of points to make. I originally got involved in this. We don't have any of our business outside of the UK. So one of the challenges for us was I was asked by the president of the CBI, Karen Bermoria, on a call talking about business in the UK. What could Moto do to help? And it was just an interesting challenge that was put my way. And I initially went back and spoke to my charity trustees. I spoke to the senior leadership team at Moto. And one thing I would say is that there was a lot of empathy and support for doing something, but concern, given we had no business outside of the UK, of we already had our fundraising down 70% from pre-COVID levels. And there's already a lot that we needed to do to support charities in the UK. What turned it on its head, though, was when I explained that our customers and our colleagues have family, friends in India, and we've all been through the challenges of COVID-19. We know how serious the situation was, and we're thankfully in a much better place here in the UK, and therefore I felt we just had to do something. I didn't know what we could do, and what we literally did was turned over the course of a weekend all of our fundraising activities. We gave our sites freedom to do whatever they could to raise money. On the back of it, we've had senior managers committing to having their head shaved. I now have got to commit to a chest wax. And we tried to engage in a very quick, rapid response way that would capture the imagination of the public. And we set out that the key thing that made the difference, though, with the help from the British Asian Trust, was I said, it's not about the money, it's about what that money will do. And if we can connect with the public, that what that money will do will save lives, then we'll be able to raise a good amount over 2 days. And we set out by saying, look, £5,000 would buy 6 oxygen concentrators, which would save 3,600 lives. And that fact from the British Asian Trust really is what I think sparked the energy and commitment of our colleagues, because it wasn't about raising money anymore, it was about saving lives. And in the end, we raised £25,000 over the 2 days, and we're able to say, look, that's actually contributed to saving 18,000 lives. And, you know, I've been overwhelmed with, even through difficult times, how you can actually engage the kindness and the generosity of the British public, but also colleagues that work for your company, if you just engage with them in the right way. And the final thing I'd say is the British Asian Trust have been unbelievably good at helping engage and raise awareness but in a very simple, meaningful way, which is what you need if you're going to divert people to raising funds.
Thank you, Ken. I know a number of people have said that they want to come in, and I do apologize, but we, the Home Secretary is on a tight schedule. But we've had hands up from people at Nomura, from BlackRock, from Beam Suntory, from Clifford Chance, and you can just see the breadth and the depth of support which we have received, which is really what we wanted to demonstrate and make the Home Secretary aware of. And I think all your presence on today's call has made that very, very clear. So with that, I would now like to invite the Home Secretary to say a few words to us, please.
Jitesh, thank you. And I've got to just start by thanking everyone, but I do just want to give a special thanks and pay tribute to the British Asian Trust, an organisation that I know well and have worked with previously on Aid Match and some of the great innovative work we have done in the past. And I very much hope all that work is proceeding really well. And so for me, it came as no great surprise whatsoever that the British Asian Trust really came together and stood up and brought aspects of the Indian diaspora community together, but also its own network, its outreach, some of the fantastic businesses and contributions that I've heard this evening, Accenture, Morgan Stanley, Monsoon, and the others as well on screen as well, just to say thank you for all the contributions that you have made. And I think one of the greatest things about the British Asian Trust, if I may say so, is the ability to pull together public and private, but also individuals and different elements of the diaspora and Indian community together. So Tony's great example, using diaspora, is just a very, very great example of how to use the power of media, the networks, the ability to reach out across the entire community in a way in which that absolutely speaks to our people-to-people ties. And I just think, the cricketing analogy is a really good one right now for obvious reasons. The team are coming here in a couple of weeks, as we know. But Rakesh and the whole analogy about going beyond cricket and beyond networks and individuals, not just in the UK, not just in India, but around the world, really, really speaks to, I think, the one unifying theme of COVID is that none of us have been able to escape it. It affects and has affected absolutely everyone, no matter what your age is, your background, where you are in the world. And we definitely know, and we do know this, and I've seen this myself, certainly in the UK, I mentioned this as well, the kindness and generosity that we have seen from the public has been breathtaking. It really has. And this appeal has shown that. It has absolutely shown that. And then when you replicate that across so many aspects of life, different organizations that have come together, even without a footprint, even without a corporate footprint in India, and showing how lives can be saved, how every single contribution can make a difference. That is so powerful. It really is. So the donations that have been put forward are absolutely incredible. The work of everyone across corporate, business, philanthropy, the public sector, but also from the charitable side has been absolutely incredible. And I genuinely think it does speak to the fact that diseases and pandemics have no boundaries whatsoever. And I've experienced this in previous roles that I have seen and experienced in governments with diseases and pandemics around the world. So I really just want to pay tribute to everyone. And finally, conclude by saying that there is no doubt that, although this has been a very, very dark and difficult time for India, for the Indian community around the world that have seen their friends and their families suffer in such extraordinary and desperate ways, everything that we have seen on our TV screens and in the news has been harrowing. It has been absolutely harrowing. None of us have been able to sit back, no way, and nor would we want to. That would simply not be right. But however, throughout this dark time for India, as ever, this appeal has brought out the best in communities across the country and even further beyond the country as well. And effectively that has given hope and opportunity to India, the Indian population. And I also think, importantly, it has strengthened the ties and the roles that we all have in really coming together to save lives and to make a difference. So I speak not just as Home Secretary from the government's perspective, I speak in very personal terms now. I'd really just like to thank everybody for the efforts that you've all made, the way in which at times of crisis, we've all come together to really be great humanitarians together as well. And that's incredibly important. So really just thank you for everything that you are doing. And just finally, from the British Asian Trust, for the work that they are doing, but even post-pandemic, just continue the amazing work, the fantastic appeals, and the way in which the British Asian Trust continues to save lives, but also change lives, and bring new opportunities to people around the world. Thank you.
Thank you, Priti, for your remarks and your steadfast support for the British Asian Trust, not just today, but consistently over the years. I know that His Royal Highness, the Prince of Wales, also values your active engagement and all the guidance you provide. The solidarity you express between the UK and India, and also the comments we heard earlier from a range of different supporters, demonstrates the strategic nature of our bilateral relationship with India, encompassing so many dimensions. It's therefore highly appropriate that a coalition of stakeholders have united behind this common cause, with governments, corporate, civil society, and the global Indian community coalescing together in a unique partnership to meet the needs of the hour. And it's a great honor for an organization like British Asian Trust to play a catalytic role in this powerful mix. I hope we've also been able to convey the speed and agility with which essential medical supplies have reached the front line, and how your contributions are already making a positive impact on lives and livelihoods. Although there are multiple fundraising campaigns being undertaken by different organizations, there's also some wonderful collaboration behind the scenes, helping each other with sourcing, logistics, and contacts. Wherever possible, British Asian Trust has facilitated this cross-community coordination, which enables every pound, dollar, or rupee from the public to be stretched and used for maximum benefit to reach those most in need. In conclusion, the challenges faced by India are a powerful reminder that we are part of something far greater than ourselves. And I strongly believe that how we help each other now will help shape the type of world we emerge into after the crisis. Thank you, everyone, for joining us this evening. A warm appreciation once again to the Home Secretary for all her support and words of encouragement. We look forward to keeping in touch with you in the days and weeks ahead. And please do reach out to Richard and the team at the British Asian Trust if we can help further in any way. Thank you and good evening.